Microphone. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography and I answer questions if you have any about Olympus cameras and how to use those or any photography questions in general and to kind of catch up and see what's new, what's going on. It's always the highlight of my day to meet everybody and new people and also my regulars here, my regular viewers. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend it with me. And hopefully we can talk about some new things. I guess let me see who's here. We got Seraphin here. Jonas, good to see you. Marcia, good to see you. Boynton Beach, Florida. Oh, hot. Too hot for February. What is the temperature there now? I think we're getting to the 40s today here, which is actually feels pretty good if it wasn't raining. If the sun was out, it'd be nicer. But I think this week will be pretty nice overall. Getting there for spring weather. I'm gonna really try and get out this week, and I have plans for March. I'm sorry, not March. Early April to go up to see Ben and do some astrophotography. So I'm gonna do a little practicing before then. We might get a clear night tomorrow night, and I'll try some very basic astro and see what I can do with just some basic gear, you know, the camera and a lens, right? No trackers, nothing, just a tripod and some of the software and hit a couple of targets. That stream I did last week with Ben was very inspiring to do astro now, to see the kind of results you can get with just, you know, basic gear, your camera and a lens. And you know, he did some really amazing things when you add a tracker to it, but I'm going to try without one first before I order one, because they're not too expensive, relatively speaking. They're about $300 for a tracker, which seems reasonable. I mean, that's less than a lot of lenses that I've bought. I know that. But good morning. Nature's here. Randy's here. Range Rider, Steve G, John Yutze, David Crooks. Good to see you. And Lysippus, Goran Lusix, nice to see you again too. And David Tellett is here. Awesome, awesome. So I'm hopefully everybody can see and hear me okay. I guess I didn't really comb my hair or anything, but you know, I did a live stream on Saturday. I'm sorry, on Thursday. I did not back to back, but I did two 2-hour plus live streams on Thursday. And wow, that set me back on my neck. Apparently that is definitely what the problem is sitting down too long, leaning over like this. Because wow, it set me back a couple of weeks, I think, because my neck is really hurting again. I mean, that evening and the very next day, it was pretty bad. Even now, and I'm just taking very basic over-the-counter meds right now, and hopefully I won't have to go beyond that. But you know, I was getting along all week with, you know, nothing. You know, I was able to just kind of tolerate the mild aching, and it was every day was getting a little better, and that set me back. That kind of sucked, but so that's why I'm not doing a second live stream today. I'm just going to stick to the one. And then maybe I'll do a photo editing stream on Tuesday. I'll see how I feel after today. If tomorrow when I get up and it's not any worse, but a little better, then I'll do something on Tuesday for photo editing. But right now it's still up in the air. No decision has been made yet. And also, I think it was Enrique. He never comes into the streams, or not in the chat section anyway. He may be watching. Suggested a traction thing that, you know, kind of just pulls your neck up a little bit. You hang it over your door, and that feels pretty good. But I need to get a mouthpiece because it locks your teeth when you're in that thing, and so I don't want to mess up any of my fillings. I don't know. Just anyway. So that's that. Getting old sucks. You know, things that. When you were younger, you could get away with, but somehow, I don't know, maybe I'm not getting enough calcium in my diet. I don't know why my neck is deteriorating like this. Seraphin says, start working out the upper body, got rid of pain. Yes, I definitely, I used to have a lot of lower back pain, and working out, particularly, all your core and everything, that definitely helped a lot. And it's been a long time since I've had any lower back pain or sciatic nerve type pain when I started working out and exercising. So once my neck starts feeling a little better, I'll start doing some more upper body exercises and stuff. But right now, I don't want to stress it any more than I do, because even laying down and just shifting around with a pillow is stressful. I can feel how much stress you put on your neck just shifting around in the bed. I was kind of surprised. You don't notice these things when you're feeling good, but man, when you got an ache or pain somewhere, that's when you start to realize how much of your body, how, when you start working out, you start getting muscles sore in places you never knew you had muscles. It's kind of like that. You start feeling things in places that you never, well, let's not go there, but anyhow, Nature says, just started selling my older cameras. Oh, wait, I got a chat thing here. Let's see. John Yusei says, last Thursday, my video and chat feeds were out of sync for about 5 minutes, leading to some strange comments from, I'm sure. Oh, okay. Yeah, there was some delay last time. I noticed that. And Nature, let's see. Nature says, just started selling my older cameras and lenses on eBay. Got a bid for $175 for my EM1. Need money for the $150 to $400. Oh, wow, which may arrive in March. Yeah, I can't believe there's so much demand for that lens. I was watching that interview. I forget the guy's name, with Olympus at CP Plus. First I watched Peter Forsgaard's video, which pretty much summed up everything they said in Japanese. But I watched the Japanese video, meaning they spoke in Japanese, and then they had the subtitles at the bottom, which I read, and it I just wonder how well I guess they did a good job translating with the subtitles and things, but they're talking like for a long time, and then you get like this one sentence at the bottom as the translation. I'm like, wow. I wonder what he said that wasn't in the translation. It's one of those things where you just don't know unless you speak Japanese. So I assume everything was translated, but it just seemed longer when they were speaking Japanese. It was much longer than the actual English translation. And Randy said, have you thought about a stand-up desk? Yes, I am looking at that. I added it to my shopping cart. Randy sent me a link for one of these tabletop things you put on top of your desk, or desktop stands, and it raises your desk. My only challenge with that is I use 3 monitors, and all the wiring and cable management would be a little tricky to be flexible enough to go up and down that much. If I just had one big monitor and a laptop, I think, I would have just bought it like that. But I'm thinking, how am I going to manage all of this here, this setup, the streaming setup, and make that work in a way that it's not, it's not going to unplug cables when I raise the desk. So I'm giving it some thought. Right now I'm concentrating on my bedroom, which I'm painting. And I don't know, you can see I took a shower, but I still got paint because I'm using enamel paint now. I just, anyway, but yeah, I appreciate that. And Ellie, yeah, Ellie's here. Oh, Walter's here. Hey, Walter, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a stream in a couple of weeks. And let's see, Mike Ham, good to see you. And Randy says, after the stream today, I'm going to watch all the M1 Mark II videos, my M10 Rise. Oh, awesome. That's right. You bought one last week. What is it? Ow! You want to go out? Are you hungry? Oh, she's hungry. Hold on. Let me just put her out for a second. Come on, let's go. The problem is she's always hungry, and I don't have a solution. You know, I have to keep her diet kind of lean because the vet told me last year when she saw her, she was about 7 or 8 pounds overweight. So I've had her on this strict diet. And now I got her back down to her ideal weight. But man, she's hungry all the time now. So I try to temper it a little bit with, treats every now and then. But when she gets in her mind that she wants to eat, she just won't stop. She's like a cat in that respect. You know how cats get, right? They just start meowing and jumping on you in bed and everything until you feed them. And Ellie's the same way. I never had a dog like that. I mean, I had dogs that were happy to eat, anytime I put food out, they were Johnny on the spot. But when when it wasn't time to eat, they didn't bother me, like she does. She is white on rice when she's hungry. And she's hungry all the time. And Marsh said, I use an inflatable balloon collar put on my neck in traction. I use it when I'm in sitting helps. Yes. This one is pretty tight, though. It's a full thing that holds up, from the back and the front. That's why I need to get a mouthpiece so I'm not grinding my teeth while I'm in that contraption. But it does give some relief, and hopefully it'll help my posture and align everything back up. And Randy says, standing at my desk really helps my upper body, especially, yeah. And it's true. I remember you emailed me. You were saying about how just you only have to stand like 15 minutes, every couple hours or something. You don't have to stand the whole time, just for a little bit while you're working. And that's usually enough to give you the same results if you were standing all the time. And Nature says, we have one large desk that moves up and down by motor, also a chair with height adjustment. Very useful if you have to sit at a desk for a long time. And yeah, that's the thing is, I think for a while I'm going to have to sit only for one stream at a time, not do 2 streams in a day, because that set me back. I was feeling so good on Thursday. Like I was like, I'm almost out of this pain, but it's frustrating. And John says, my wife has back issues from time to time, so use a desk that can be raised to stand up and lowered to straight. Yeah, it works great. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to do that. I can only focus on one room at a time. I'm going to come back. I've tried to rearrange this room a little bit so that I just have to look down a little bit at the screen instead of this way. So I can just look down and I can see the screen and the chat messages and everything. It's pretty slick, but it's not enough. Because when I start doing photo editing, I have to look at this screen, and that's when I kind of lean forward and do all my editing. But I did have a great editing session Thursday, photo editing. Lots of great images came in, and I think I did a good job editing most of them. Some of them were just okay, like, anybody could do them, but I liked the work that I did that day, and I'm a little bit out of practice, but I was pretty proud of those. And also, there's a great image. I wanted to share that with you in the forum from Marcel. One second, I'll pull it up here. That's not it. This is me. How am I going to get I don't remember how to, oh, this button. There we go. So Marcel sent this image from, it's a Fujifilm X-H1. And it's, there's a ship back here, kind of behind some haze. And this looks like actually a Marcel's edit. Let me go back. Yeah, this is an edit Marcel did. This is not the raw image. And then Steve Page did some great edits here. Nice wide. These look like 16:7s. And then here's one that DeMorgan did. Very soft, muted colors, which look good. And then here's one he did for fun. Just kind of towed a line to the dude in the front. There's another image looking for edits there. And I wanted to show you the edit that I did. This one is from Serge. Good job with the colors. I did a couple. This is one that I did. So I brought, I did a 16:7. I got rid of a lot of the haze and then brought the guy up. And you can see the guy's walking through the waves. They're kind of splashing on his leg here. And then I did this one, which is okay. This is similar to, I think, what Serge did or DeMorgan. Muted colors, a little bit of haze. But I chopped out, I didn't include the guy walking. I cropped him out altogether because I felt like it was distracting. But this one here, I wanted to get some feedback. I mean, Marcel liked it. But let me see. This is, I cut off the guy at the bottom, right at the waist to kind of match the buoy kind of floating in the water. And then, the color scheme is very muted and hazy. Because I had another version of this where I had the guy standing and walking, so you could see his feet and everything. But I thought this worked better for some reason. I like this, the way he's half cut off and everything. But this is really an amazing image, like one that you definitely, this is a hang on the wall award, right, Randy? So anyway, that was that. All right, there we go. And let's see. Randy has a couple of things. Oh, and then Randy actually has a YouTube channel now, which I watched. I watched a few videos, but I'll talk about that in a moment. He says here, been comparing my E5 with grip and the 12-60 against the EM1X with the 12-100. Physically, they're almost identical. Feel the same too, only a couple of grams difference. Okay, guess that makes sense. I'd have thought the E5 would still be lighter. And then today I'm receiving my Ricoh Theta SC for 360 views and Google Streets, going to let certified. Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, I thought about getting a Ricoh Theta for my real estate. I ended up buying a Insta-1 XR. The image quality is terrible, and I wasn't too impressed with the Theta 1, the $1,000 360 camera either. for 360s, and there's not a lot of demand, honestly. There probably is. I just don't have the right clientele for it. But, you know, whenever I quote a price to do a 360 job, it's like, that's okay. We don't need it that bad, you know, because I would charge, you know, probably an extra couple $100 to do it. And, you know, they don't want to do it. So I'm not stressing too much over it. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a camera and then not get any jobs for it like I did with my S5. And Mike says, I can get a good deal on an EM5 III grip. I like the one I had for the EM5 II, but I'm wondering if I'm having a grip defeats the purpose of the small form factor. My advice would be is get the grip if you use long lenses. It'll make for a much more enjoyable experience in the field using it. If you're just using primes all the time like I do, you don't really need it. I bought one for mine that, you know, I have a video on this. It's just it's a smaller grip, but I like this better than the Olympus original one because it has the Arca Swiss grip or plate on the bottom that I can mount this directly to my tripod rather than mounting an Arca Swiss plate to another grip. So if you want to get a grip, you know, the video I have on this one, it's a Hogue or something. You know, I can recommend this grip. I like it. And it doesn't take away from the size and weight. It still feels very compact. The Olympus grip definitely feels better in your hand, though. It's a little bigger and more contour. And they move the shutter button forward, so it's much better. So if you can get a good deal on an Olympus original, the only downside to the original grip is there's no Arca Swiss plate on the bottom, so you have to attach a separate one if you want to attach it to a tripod, it's kind of awkward for me. So that's why I went with this. And I like the widescreen on the photo edit. Still wondering what photos would be like with the Seer anamorphic. They may be, you know, the only thing the anamorphic lens does is it crops the entire image to fill the sensor, right? And then you can it compresses the image. It compresses a wide field of view into a square or a 4x3 image circle, if that makes sense. And then when you go into software, you have to, you know, stretch it back out, right? But then everything will be in the correct perspective. Nothing will be distorted. So you effectively get a wider angle field of view without losing any pixels in the process. I think if you're doing video work, it makes sense to do things like that because it's very difficult to change the field of view once it's been recorded. Well, not really, but it's another step. Whereas with photography, you can easily crop, you know, to a 16:7 or whatever wide format anamorphic is. Yeah, you still lose some megapixels, but I don't think it's quite as critical in photography as it is in video. In video, it's probably better to get more pixels than it's so much as it is in photography. And Adam says, Oben makes a great Arca Swiss, and I plate for the EM10 Mark II. Okay, I haven't seen that one. And Mike says, I can't find a third-party grip for the EM5 III. Is the one you have for the EM5 III? Yes. This is definitely for the EM5 III. Let me find the video real quick. Okay, here's the video. I just put it in the chat section. And then here's a link for the US. I think that still works. Let me see. Yeah. So this is the I got mine in July apparently, but this is the one I use. It's for the EM5 III. It's $54. It's a little, it's a little more expensive than like the $25, $30 ones you see everywhere. But this works really good. You can see the Arca Swiss plate here on the bottom. And then you can see the grip. It's contoured to the camera, but this corner is a little bit sharp. It's squared off. And the Olympus original grip is rounded. So the Olympus original grip, like I said, has a better feel. Plus they moved the shutter button forward. But it costs 3 times as much, right? So I opted for this mainly because of the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. And the extra grip helps. Unless you're white knuckling your unless you white knuckle your camera when you're holding it, you're not going to notice that it's not quite as rounded as the Olympus original. And Jeff says anamorphics are normally 2.35 by 1. Okay, so they're even wider than what I was thinking. I think I'm not that familiar with anamorphic perspectives. I know they have a couple of different perspectives that you can choose from depending on, I guess, what format you want the final output to be. But like I said, you don't lose pixels or as many pixels when you use an anamorphic lens and you want a wide field of view. That's the main reason for it. And Randy says, can you make a photo story like on the EM10 Mark II in Workspace? I don't know. I've never done it in Workspace, but the EM10 Mark II does have photo stories in it. I think it's in the art. Let me see. Where's? Oh, my EM10 Mark II's up here. Let me see. Yeah, it has it. It's right there. It's on the mode dial. It may be hard to see, but it's on the mode dial. You just put that in, and then it'll put you into. Oh, that's too bright, but it'll put you right into story mode. Adam says, those grips help my pinky have a better spot, awkward in the pinky sliding onto the camera. Yeah, it extends the grip just a little bit. I mean, the grip extends the height of the body just a little bit. I have small hands, but you can see that my hand is definitely, all 4 fingers are on the camera, not hanging off like this, as if there was no grip. But I have small hands, so that's never been an issue for me, really. And good morning, Darko. Good to see you. And thank you. I'm not feeling great. My neck is aching, but I appreciate that. And Leon says, after watching your video, I bought that grip for my OMD EM5 Mark III. Very happy and good material, but only had had took off the side plate for screen. Yes. So I should mention that what Leon's talking about is this is actually an L bracket, right? It comes with another bracket on the side that you can remove with a single screw. But when you have this bracket attached, you cannot open the screen more than that much, like just a little bit. So I take mine off. I don't really need the L bracket on this. I rarely do, portrait mode. And if I did, my tripod can flip over to the side like that. If you're doing like panoramic landscapes and things, it may be better to use the L bracket, in which case you don't need the screen to flip down anyway. But for general photography, yeah, take the L bracket off so you can flip the screen out. That's a good point. Thanks, Leon. It's something I forgot to mention in the video too, I think. I'm going to crank up the heat just a little bit. Okay. Oh, what is it in here? Oh, it's up to 55. All right. So it's 5 degrees warmer than it was when I started. But I need the heat on. I got one of the radiator type heaters now instead of the fan, so it's a little quieter in here, and the sound hopefully is better. It's probably still a bit echoey because I'm not as close to the mic as I'd like to be. I'd rather be kind of like about this close so you guys can hear me pretty clearly. But sitting here is okay, I guess. And Darko has a message here, says, as Olympus new cameras on digital are going to carry on, especially the pen line. Yes. Like I said, I was watching that Japanese video. It's on Olympus Live. That's the name of the channel on YouTube. And there's, you can just watch Peter's video, Peter Forsgaard, where he kind of summarized everything. But yeah, so their intent is to continue business as usual with the OMDs, the pens, and the Olympus Tough cameras. And they may announce something in spring at one of the trade shows, whether it's virtual or they go there, but that wasn't clear. But the guy, there's a guy that interviewed the Olympus chief technology officer, and he asked him, we're going to have some trade shows in the spring, and that's typically when people announce new cameras. And the Olympus guy kind of answered, yes, we will have some announcements, but it was kind of vague, right? So hopefully we'll see something, and they're going to use the Olympus name. It's going to be on the viewfinder on the front for the time being, until such point that they feel like OM Digital Solutions will have enough brand recognition on their own. I mean, they're kind of halfway there, having OM in the name. So it may happen sooner than later, but for now, we're going to use the Olympus name. And the only thing they talked about was they're going to expand more or do more in other areas. They were talking about doing voice recorders. But still, I think delivering cameras that we've always enjoyed coming out from Olympus, whenever they announce a new camera, will continue. And they're going to continue with the current roadmap. So all of that sounds good to me. He talked about doing some partnering with other brands, maybe. So what you might see, and the way I interpret that is, how JIP owns the Sony Vaio laptops. We might see Sony Vaio laptops with Olympus webcams in them, right? Olympus webcam, maybe some Olympus audio built into laptops. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll see those kind of partnerships and things. I don't know what else JIP owns, but a lot of times, when investment companies buy other companies, they look for that synergy where they can cross pollinate their products, so that, now Sony has a good brand. I don't know, maybe we'll start to see some. It's not a Sony Vaio, it's just Vaio now. It's not Sony Vaio. So we'll see Vaio laptops with maybe Olympus cameras in them as the webcam, uh, and whatever else products they own, other companies. But they're looking for that kind of synergy, I believe. And Nature says Olympus OMDS has a good magazine out right now. Interesting to read photographers' articles and knowing the equipment that they're using. Yeah, I saw one last month. Some people sent me some links to it, and yeah, it was a great read. It's always fun to see the images that they show. The level of photography is right up there, right? A very high level, high skill set level, good eye, and some creative. Uh, and they're very creative, I should say. And yeah, I read the last month's article. Maybe there's a new one out now, so I'll have to check. I have the link to the old one, so that should lead me to if there's any new ones out. Gareth said, "Thanks for letting us edit photos from each other on." Yeah, sure. Like I said, it's just for fun, educational purposes, right? What Garrett's talking about is on my forum, robtrek.com/forum. You can post your images, preferably a raw image, for other members to edit and post, like I did and Serge did and DeMorkan did, and Garrett. There's a section in the forum called "Edit My Photo," where you can submit them for critique or for editing. And it's fun. It's fun to see, because when I was doing my live stream photo editing, I put my image out there for you guys to edit, and just amazing the kind of work you guys do on a rather mundane image. And I was like, well, why don't we put it on the forum so that you can edit other people's images? Because it's I think it's very educational to see how other people see or frame your raw image and do post processing. Which and DeMorkan has a post on there where he's looking for help doing, I guess, some sort of lithography type look. So that's also in my forum. I tried a little bit yesterday, DeMorkan, to kind of get that look, and I kind of got there, but it wasn't perfect. You basically do it in Photoshop, where you layer. You separate layers and you edit each layer to try to achieve that look. So you do a little blurring on one, reduce the color palette down so there's not as many colors, and then I did sort of an oil painting filter to it. But I noticed in Photoshop they have some like neural filters, which was kind of interesting. I guess that's their artificial intelligence type filters, which are going to be coming, that may do that all for you. I played a little bit with the ones they have so far, but they do have some coming that may just do that automatically, kind of get you very close to that lithography look. Oh, Thomas Zazowskis is here. Good to see you. 18C, that's nice and toasty. Whew. That's close to, I think, about 60 degrees, right? I would love that. I can't wait for spring to be here. It's starting to get warm. We're getting in the upper 40s, low 50s, pretty regular now. We're going forward, and then hopefully by end of March, we'll be regularly in the 60s. Like I said, it still gets cold at night sometimes, down to, in the freezing point, but Jose said you bought an EM1. Why did that click the wrong one? What's this? Darko says, regarding editing, if someone likes free software, GIMP and free Nik software together is about 94% of Photoshop for the regular editor of images. You just need to learn the interface. Yeah, the learning curve on GIMP is pretty steep. Nik is pretty straightforward. That's a great software. I didn't know you could still get it though, because it used to be, I know it used to be free. I didn't think it was free anymore. I thought like On One or somebody bought Nik. But if you can still find the free version from years ago, it was pretty handy. It had a lot of nice filters in it, light leaks and film and all kinds of stuff. And then it also had like black and white effects. It was pretty neat software. I used it for a little while. GIMP I don't use very much. I did use it for a little while to do some, I think it was some vector art, but I switched over to using Inkscape instead. It was much more functional for that. Doing, like the thumbnails that I make for my videos, I use Inkscape because it's a vector art editor, which can be done in GIMP, but it's a little bit, like I said, learning curve is a little bit too steep for me. And then Leon says, watching James Pops' latest video on his method of doing editing with Lightroom, the way he went about and why the editing tool was placed as it was the reason he's doing it that way. I haven't watched that one yet. I intend to. I just haven't watched it yet. And James Pops always puts out, good content, and he's very entertaining to watch. He always starts out his videos with something like, you may have noticed something different in my room. I just added this lighting, or I put this shelving in. And then, I don't know, he makes his videos like little mini stories about what's going on in his life. And then he sprinkles in, whatever tips he has about photography. But he does a great job mixing those two things together. It's always fun to watch James Pops'. And then Darko's confirming, yes, version 2 Nik is out there, and DxOMark owns the newer version. It's actually cheaper than a lot of software. Okay. And John Yusei says, I still use the free Nik plugin with Photoshop Elements. Still works well. Good. Yeah, it was kind of neat. I'll have to look for it if I can. I'm sure, if it's out there, it's out there. I'll just look for it. But right now, I'm just pretty content with the features I have in Photoshop and Olympus workspace. It's fine. I like a software called Photoscape. Also, that's a really good software for developing collages and things, and it's free. And it has some other photo filter effects too. But I guess I don't use them too much. I just use the ones in Olympus Workspace. And the main reason I use the ones in Workspace only and not do a lot of post-processing type filters is, I like to get as close as I can in camera, if not get the final result in camera using the existing art filters and settings that I can with our Olympus cameras. And using Olympus Workspace allows me to do that, because everything I can do in Workspace I can almost do on a camera or in camera when I'm in the field. And seeing how things look in the field while it's right there in front of you is just a more productive way for me to work. Some people, they don't need that. They're fine. They just take the raw image, go home and process it. But I like to see the end result in the field with the art filters applied, then make adjustments if I need to. And that's why I like the Pen F so much, because you have a little bit more control over the final output, more so than any other Olympus camera. And then Darko says, and hi, Johan S. Talsma, sorry. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. And Darko says, so Rob, second walk around with the birding setup you advised us on an older vid of yours, actually used it for streeting at 95% tack sharp keeper rate. Just wanted to say thanks. You rock. Oh, sure, Darko, I try. You know, the birds in flight video I did basically said use shutter priority, try and keep your shutter speeds at 1/1000th or 1/2000th of a second, depending on the size of the bird, continuous autofocus. You know, there's a bunch of other little settings and tweaks you can do for birds in flight. And they would work for street just as well, but I would probably shoot an aperture priority instead of shutter priority. But the focusing technique is pretty much the same if you're taking pictures of moving objects. And, you know, a couple of videos I have in mind, somebody requested an exposure comp video, which I do have an exposure compensation video, but it doesn't really explain exactly what exposure comp is doing to the settings, if I recall. I just talked about how to use it for effect, you know, bringing, you know, lightening up foreground objects if you have a very bright background, you know, basic things you use exposure comp for. But I don't think I went into detail about what it's doing to the settings, because sometimes you might get an undesirable result, you know, by dialing in too much exposure comp. You may slow the shutter speed down too much and get motion blur, right? Dial in negative exposure comp, and you might have too high of an aperture and not get the depth of field that you want, right? You want a shallower depth of field possibly. So that's, or it might crank up your ISO. I mean, there's basically ISO, shutter speed, and aperture, and exposure comp's going to affect one or two of three of those. And you may or may not want it to do that. And Jose says, your tutorial on spot metering is great. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think that video is titled Using Spot Meter with Flash. Oh, no, I have a whole separate video for spot metering. Yeah, that one was pretty good. Yeah, I liked how that came out. But there's really a complementary video called Spot Metering with Flash. That's a really good video. I mean, I watched it recently, like about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was thinking if I did it over again, I would have done it differently, because it kind of drags on and it's a little bit hard to follow unless, you know, because the problem is I never script my videos. I never, you know, sometimes I outline it, but I know that video, I just turned the camera on and just went for it and recorded it, right? I didn't script. I didn't have an outline. I just set up my props and, you know, hit the record button. And that's like 90% of my videos are unscripted and really not planned out or outlined. I just think in my head, you know, what's a logical steps to teach whatever this is. The few videos that I have outlined, like I believe the spot metering video I did outline, and my videos on exposure I outlined and had slideshows. So if you really don't know exposure too well, setting exposures in your camera, that's a really good video. What exposure is, and then a spot metering video is good, and the spot metering with flash is really good. Those are things you can use to really improve your photography, I think. And so who would chip in to give robtrek a free trip to New York if he would join a group for street photography, of course, after this COVID is over? Wow, street photography in New York. Yeah, I would go with a group, definitely. But yeah, it's expensive to travel anywhere. COVID aside, New York would be a 2, 3 day trip. I mean, that's $1,000 between hotel rooms and parking and gas. Yeah, I just don't have that kind of dough, or not willing to put it on my credit card. I mean, I could charge everything, but then, uh, yeah, I couldn't do it. And you guys know me. I'm not big on travel to begin with. I don't mind traveling within the continental U.S., but outside of that, it's not a fan. I mean, I'd love to visit the UK sometime, maybe France. I'd love to visit Australia. Um, I'd like to see Hong Kong again. There's places I've never been to the UK or France. I've only passed through on connecting flights like through Germany and stuff, but I've never been. I'd love to go sometime. It's But I just don't like the travel part, like getting on the plane and dealing with the passports, because I told you guys in another stream, for those of you that don't know, I was on the plane and we were about to land, I guess, in Malaysia or somewhere, some Asian country. And then they start handing out these cards while the plane is getting ready to land, saying that if you have any paraphernalia or drugs or anything on you, you know, it's penalty is death by caning or something. It's like some really harsh punishment, but it was definitely death by something. And I was like, why didn't you give us these cards before we got on the frickin' plane? That really freaked me out. I didn't have anything, of course, but still, if I had a prescription drug or something and I forgot to bring my prescription or whatever, because you know how you got these little pill boxes and you put your pills in them and you take that instead of taking the bottle, especially on short trips and stuff. Yeah, you can get in trouble for that. So I think. I don't know. It's never happened to me. But you hear stories. I don't know if they're true or not. And Nature says, cheaper for you to come to London, only cost you for his flight. We have the executive. Oh, thanks, Nature. I appreciate that. Yeah, UK. There's something about Britain or the UK in general that it just is very endearing or charming or nostalgic, because the biggest difference, never mind the landscapes and everything that I've seen from all the British landscape photographers on YouTube. There's so many. The architecture out there is just amazing, because you guys don't tear things down quite as much. At least I don't think. Yeah, you have buildings there that are hundreds and hundreds of years old, 400 or 500 years old, and people are living in them, or they might be a business or a shop, and it's the original building. Yeah, it may have been gutted or remodeled a little bit, but for the most part, you're still using a lot of the original buildings from hundreds of years ago. That's something you don't see here in the U.S. As much, right? Most of the buildings in this area, they're all pretty new, right? You go down Old Town Alexandria, they do their best to maintain the original look and feel. But if you look at the images that I take during my photo walks and things, you'll see that it's very modern, Alexandria. And it makes me sad a little bit that they don't preserve things like they used to, I remember on one of the photo walks with the photo club, we were walking along the water in the Potomac, and the guy was saying, yeah, they found an old 1700s like shipwreck while they were excavating out to put up these condos. And it paused the construction of these new condos while they got this out. And while they were digging, they found like another 10 or 20 ships. I don't know. They found more. But at some point they just said, one or two is enough. You guys, go ahead and build your condos now. And they just concrete everything over. They don't do anything really. They don't try to preserve things. They just concrete the heck out of everything in Alexandria. It's just sad. And Dave says, I've done a bus trip. Yeah, bus trip to New York City from DC. It's only like a 5 or 6 hour drive if you go straight to get into the city from here. I used to do it time to time. And, before I got into photography, so it's been probably 20 years since I've been to New York. And yeah, there's nothing really bad about going really anything on the East Coast here is not bad. I can hit the Florida state line in about 10 hours, and I can hit like Miami in about 15 hours if I drive nonstop. I don't know if I could do that now, but when I was younger, I used to drive down to Florida all the time. I mean, I was in Florida a lot. I used to go down to West Palm, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, went to Jacksonville, everything pretty much along the East Coast in Florida. I'd like to go back to Naples. I have some friends there. I have some friends in West Palm that, I only keep in touch through email or Facebook, but I love Florida. I really do, aside from the hurricane season. New York, I don't know anybody up there anymore. Yeah, I used to have family in New York, but they've all moved down here. John says, to make room for new shopping malls 20 years later, they're empty. Yeah, I know, right? It's it just breaks my heart that they don't try harder to preserve things. Like, I live in this house here, built in the 50s, I think 52 or 53, so it's pushing 70 years old, and I still have all the original windows, and they've been painted over 100 times. I can tell you because I've been painting my room. But I like it. I like it in that respect. And my neighbor next door to my left, they remodeled their home, and they basically gutted it. It's beautiful now. It's a nice modern rancher, but it just lost a lot of its charm, I think, because now it's just another modern house on the block. Randy says, I'd love this. Oh yeah. Randy has a YouTube channel. Let me find that real quick. The few videos I watched, I think I watched 3 or 4 of the videos you put up. You have your camera on the dashboard of your car, right? And you're just recording driving around the different campsites or parks. So it's very rudimentary, but you'll get there. I mean, you're 90% there, really. You're recording and posting on YouTube. That's really the hardest part. And then all you have to do is start recording outside of the car and then edit those into some cutscenes and B-roll and have some decent audio, and you're fine. Let me see. I just subscribed to it, so where is it? Yeah, here we go. Wow, that's a simple. What was really interesting, though, I think these two are new, right? You just put these 2 videos up today. Yeah, 1 day ago. But you can see they're just dashboard shots, and I can see the very cool color. I think you were talking about the EPLH you're using was converted to full spectrum, but then you put a filter to kind of bring it back to normal visible light type photography. But it's still a bit cool. Yeah, I see what you mean. But I think the image quality is fine. It's just the white balance is a little off, and it's hard to correct this kind of thing in post-processing. That's for sure. So 5 subscribers. One of those is me. So definitely, everybody go check out Randy's channel, support his channel by subscribing, hitting the like button. Um, and because Randy's really an excellent photographer and lives in an area where he can go out and get some amazing landscapes and things, mostly in the desert. But uh, yeah, that's a budding YouTuber there. And Randy said something about being on a steam train. Yeah, I think that's what we were just talking. Yeah, steam train. I think there are places that do that. Uh, they let you ride steam trains. I forget who was telling me. Dang it. Oh, David Crooks. He was telling me about not a steam train, but about, I don't know how, terrible segue to this other topic. But David Crooks is aware of a lot of places to go to, and you may know one where we can ride a steam train, but there was one like a graveyard, a truck graveyard or something that's not too far away. We need to do that when it gets a little warmer. And Thomas asking, can I paste? Oh yeah, I can paste his link there. Oops. All right, there's a link to Randy's channel. Just skimming through the chat here. Nature has a channel too. Let's see. Darko says we have Prairie Dog Express in Winnipeg, Canada. Not Steam, but they do mock train robbery. That is cool. I don't know, nature. I thought I've seen your channel before. I don't see it. I was trying to find it. No, we need to go to the truck graveyard before the ticks show up. Doesn't take long though, right? For the bugs, man. We had a day at 60 degrees the other day, and I saw a couple of flies. I mean, just like that. I mean, the ticks, yeah, the ticks and the freaking mosquitoes, they're rough. And Davis says, I did a short video with my OM13 bird singing. What is the best way to record the sound? Oh yeah, I saw that on Facebook at Huntley Meadows. Probably a boom mic like this, right? That is very hypercardioid boom mic. And this is a good one. This Comica one. It's a CVM 20, I believe. And I have a video on this microphone also. If I move the mic this way, you can see the sound rejection, right? You probably don't hear me quite as well as I have it pointing directly at me. But this is a really good mic. So you can put that on top of the camera, plug it in, and it should do a good job for the most part. I mean, the only other option would be is like at Huntley Meadows, that's the only option really is to get a boom mic like this. Um, some people get the boom mics that have the parabolas on them and they're handheld and they point them at the, whatever they want to record. But for a simple setup, this would work. And, what I've done before is I put a wireless microphone on, clipped it to the bird feeder, and then I stood back and I recorded video using a wireless mic. That's another option, but that wouldn't work at Huntley Meadows. But that can work like wherever you can attach a wireless mic if you have access to wherever the birds might be. And Garrett says the best place for stream is in the UK. Sure, why not? I guess because of all the landscapes. That's why we have so many British landscape photographers, right? Hey, Jose, how you doing? Good to see you. And Jeff says, we have the Bluebell Railway here on the East Sussex, UK. Great steam trains maintained by enthusiasts. Oh, that's cool. That's what I mean. In the UK, you guys really work hard to preserve things. I mean, here they just chuck things. This is totally not related, but there was the Star Trek, the Bridge to the Next Generation, that TV show, Star Trek TV show, Next Generation. The bridge of the Enterprise was just in a dumpster or something, decaying and rotting away, and some guy took it and is trying to, I don't know if they ever refurbished it or not. It was a few years ago I saw the video on that. But I just couldn't believe it. They just chucked the Bridge of the Enterprise into the trash. Just shocking. And Manuel is here. Good to see you, Manuel. Hi. Palm Beach, Florida. Oh, man. So nice. I really want to go to Florida. And David says, yes, I would like something small. Yeah, so this works well. If like I said, I have a video on this microphone, CVM V20. It's perfect on the EM10 or EM1 Mark 1. The Brits are equally good on preserving and keep flying old planes. Yeah, that's great. Like I said, Brits are really good. They're very nostalgic, I guess. I don't know if nostalgic is the right word, but they definitely seem to care more about history and preserving things rather than here in the US. We just throw things away. It's a throwaway society here, especially after World War II, I think. In real estate, the architecture and construction and things, things were just not made to last. They were just made to serve a purpose and then tear it down and build something else. Matt says, hello, I can see the stream train discussion again. I didn't know we had one. Unless you're talking about within this same stream. I don't think I've ever talked about steam trains in a stream before. Oh, and then Garrett's going to put some steam train pictures in the forum. Great. Come to think of it, I think I edited one of your stream train photos before, right? It's a really, really nice photo. And, in the live photo editing streams that I used to do a lot of. Oops. Joey says, my ex threw me away. Yeah. Oh, stream. Yeah, steam trains in a stream. Say that 10 times. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. And Darko says, keep buying new so it keeps the economy going forward, but then destroying old things makes the items left around more valuable. Commercialism at its best. Yeah, I mean, you always see it's uh it's just the way it is, you know. At least here, there's very little effort made to preserve things. I mean, we have our normal, we have Washington D.C. where obviously they preserve the monuments and the structures there, but everything around the D.C. has pretty much been torn down. Oh, that's cool. Tennessee Valley Railroad in Chattanooga has a stream train. That's cool. Because not far, hopefully not far from there, are the not the Shenandoah, but the Rocky Mountains, right? Or Smoky Mountains. And it's really beautiful down there. That's actually Tennessee or uh, I think South Carolina. That's where I may end up moving when I'm the oldest one in the family, rather than go all the way down to Florida. For a really old building, go to Spain. Yeah, isn't that where like the Colosseum is and stuff? Those are old, right? Roman times. I think I could be way off. And Matt says we have guys running steam trains also in Poland. They run daily passenger trains on a regular rail. Wow. Wow, I didn't think anybody used stream trains other than just for like museum or touristy type things. And Jose says, I bird by the river. You edited was fun. I shot with the 14 to 42 from a bridge, cropped in and surprised the resolution. Yeah. Just imagine if you had a pro lens or something, right? A 40 to 150, what you would get. But that's why I'm always a big fan of kit lenses. They do fine for 90. Well, I always give that generic percentage, 99% of the time. But it's true, I think, most of the time. I should just say most of the time, kit lens will get you there. And this is ClanMax 66 says, I just bought the M10 Mark III. Can you recommend a lens for fast sports? Depends on your budget, but I would go for, the 75 millimeter f1.8 is really good. And then the 40 to 150 f2.8 would be my second choice. So depends how far away the things are that you're taking pictures of. But the 75 should get you there most of the time, and then you have to crop in. But then the 40 to 150 2.8 will definitely get you there. But there's a full stop and a third difference between the 75 and the 40 to 150, which is pretty significant in sports action. But either one of those two lenses I'd recommend. And steam trains in nearby West Virginia haven't been to that. Oh, okay. Yeah, West Virginia is about 5 hours, roughly. That's not terrible. I mean, less really, if just getting there. But I would budget 5 hours to get to the steam trains in West Virginia. It says, so who in this group loves to shoot rail and trains? I do it in the rail yards here in Winnipeg, Canada, at least once a month. Outside the fence, though, is you get tickets for trespassing. Yes. I get pictures of trains every now and then, and it's easy to get to the tracks because there's just trains everywhere here, but they're not steam trains, old stuff. They're just, commuter type trains. And they're always fun to take a picture of, but once you take a couple of pictures, that's pretty much it. It's not quite as interesting after that. But doing rail yards and rail yards would be fun. And Leon says, new Olympus camera registered in Russia. Very interesting. Speculation is saying it could be new high-end camera with possible new sensor. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, the interview I saw with the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, was very encouraging. Gave lots of great, insight or lots of positive messaging there. That they're going to continue with the tradition of Olympus, having small cameras that you can take anywhere and high quality, right? So small and high quality that you can take anywhere. Kind of sums it up. And that they are going to be releasing new cameras. He didn't give he said he couldn't give a schedule, but yeah, I'd be excited to see. I mean, right now I'm just so overwhelmed with the number of cameras I have. It worries me a little from a personal level. I'm a little worried if they come out with one like in the spring or in the fall, that I'll just buy it. If it's a Pentax 2, I'm definitely going to buy it. But if it's another OMD, I don't know. I'd have to see. I just have too many cameras now. And they will maintain Maitani's legacy. The guy was a genius, yes. So Maitani was the guy that I think designed the first Olympus OM SLR and also developed the Olympus Pen F, I believe. And yeah, both beautiful cameras. By the grace of David Tellett, I have a film Pen F and a Trip 35. Yeah, I really love this Trip 35. Let's see, I've only taken 8 frames with it, so I need to finish these off. I can't remember if it was a 24 or 36, but it was color. And then this Pen F film. This is another one that David Tellett gave to me. Wow. He's so generous. David Tellett is, very generous. This one I've only got about 4 frames left on it, but they're half frames. So I have about 4 half frames. But amazing cameras, really. Just beautiful and well built and small and compact. I feel so Japanese when I hold this camera. Because I only say that because I watch Ultraman and Johnny Sacco, all these old cartoons, or not cartoons, but old kid shows that I grew up with. And they all have cameras hanging off their necks, a lot of the episodes. Not the main characters, but like the extras. And Jose says he has the OM4 Ti. Nice, titanium. I like my EM1. I have the OM1 and the OM2. Both of those work well. OM2S, OM2N, and an OM1. So I have 3 working OM SLRs, film cameras. in addition to these two, in addition to uh, I have an Olympus Miu or whatever, the little compact, which I'm afraid to put film in because it's worth some money now for whatever reason. Olympus should not give dates for now, but if they do, like Pentax with all of the pushbacks, they would be looking a bit silly. And the Pentax look of the new K3 II is too funky for me. Yeah, Pentax cameras have never been really lookers. You either love it or you hate it. But, Pentax, I think, is another camera company. They make fantastic cameras. And it's really a shame that they're not doing as well as other companies. Not that anybody's doing well right now, but it'd be nice to see more cameras come out from Pentax. But I saw the video Tony Northrop put out on a new Pentax. Is that the K3 II that you're talking about? I don't know. I thought about getting the K3 at one point, just because it had that weird screen on the back that kind of tilted in different directions. I thought that was a very unique design. It would offer a very different experience overall. Because like I said, sometimes I just buy cameras just to have a different experience when you're out doing the photo walks, right? And they say, the journey is the destination, not so much the destination itself. It's all about the journey, right? At least for me, with photography, I just enjoy trying different types of cameras, different lenses, whatever, different gear, different techniques. And whatever the results are, that's not quite as critical to me if I get a great shot or not. It's more about that process and enjoying that process. And every camera gives you a little different experience with that process, right? That's why I have so many cameras that I've bought just because I like that. That has something unique. Like the Pentax K3 had that unique articulating screen. My Pentax SR10. Oh, I've been meaning to show you, David. I remember I was having trouble remembering which Pentax this was. So Pentax K10D. This was their flagship APS-C camera back when it came out 15 years ago. Still works great. I think I bought the camera body from Robert's Camera for about, I don't know, like 40, 50 bucks. It wasn't much. And then I spent another 40 or 50 bucks on the lens. So for like 100 bucks, I got a great little camera, but I like that K10 because it has the CCD sensor in it. And when I was reading about it on DP Review, they said that the engineers tried to bring as close to a film look as possible in the color science. And I can say for the most part, I think that's about right. It's really very interesting colors coming out of it, very rich, very vibrant. And John says, Terry Richardson turned the Yashica T4 into a cult camera. Now 500 to 1,000 used. Really? For a little plastic point and shoot. Wow. And like that Pentax uses GPS for Astro. Yes. The M1X has all the hardware to do the same. It's supposed to, yeah. Because the key thing to doing, and what Randy's talking about is the newer Pentaxes like the K7 and stuff. They actually use the sensor shift technology to get you long exposures. You can go up to almost 5 minutes, I believe, in a single exposure using a Pentax camera because it'll shift the sensor to follow the stars. But you also need GPS to to know the position of the camera relative to the sky, because the sky moves in different directions depending where you are on the planet. And once you have the GPS coordinates, it can calculate which way it needs to shift the sensor so that you don't get star trails, and you can do long exposures. The other thing I was thinking what Olympus could do, even if you don't have GPS, is, you know how you do photo stacking in camera with like handheld HDR or HDR shots, where it brackets things and auto lines. I don't know why they couldn't like bracket and auto line images in camera for you and stack those similar to like live composite. I mean, I bet it can be done. You may not get 5-minute exposures, but you might get 2 minutes, which would be double the maximum you can get now, and without star trails. And yeah, the K1000 with CCD is still a good camera, yes. Or the K100D, I don't know. But I have a K10D. It's great, great camera. And Darko has the Pentax K30, yep. A lot of Pentaxians out there, right? And they also had great lenses, and really it's just one of those things, right? How does a camera company not do well when they're producing such great products like Pentax? And then Jose says, Leica users swear by the sentiment, the journey of the experience. Leica started at 35 millimeters. Oh, I didn't know that. And EMX seems like an awesome camera. Yes, especially at 2000. Yeah, I've seen it for less. You know, I've seen it for, man, $1,600. You know, refurb. It's just amazing. And I had the Pentax K20D and K30D cameras, and they were well made and very functional. Yeah, I can vouch if they're going to be probably better than the K10 in every way. Whew. Man, this thing's, it's all metal build too, because when I picked it up, it's cold. Holding it, my hands are cold. If you notice, I've been kind of, these little radiator heaters, they take a while to warm up the room. Unlike I'm at 58 degrees now, but sitting here, I'm getting cold. And Pentax and Canon dominated the consumer market in the 80s. Really? Pentax? I can see Canon, Nikon. I don't remember. It's too long ago. I wasn't really into photography back in the 80s. I mean, I did a little bit. I shot Minolta back then, and I had an OM2S, but only for a very brief period of time, maybe 3 or 6 months, not long. Nikon had the pro market for some 25 years. Wow. And Darko says, marketing and attitude of the current market dictates a lot of the sales of any products. Yeah. Yeah, the Nikon, they had the F4, the F5, the F6 before they went digital, right? Great cameras, amazing. Although I heard that Nikon F4 was kind of an anomaly in the whole series. Some people don't like it. I can't remember why. Oh, thanks, Darko. Yes, 1034. So what is that? That's an hour and a half. Wow, I've been on for an hour and a half. Oh my goodness. Okay. And Randy says the Nikon F4 killed their grab on the pro market back then, and Canon pounced. And the Nikon F4S was a real workhorse. Oh, hey, Walter, you're still here. It's very tepid live stream today, right? Mainly because my neck is killing me. Let me check. Low key today, but good discussions. Yeah, I hope so. I do my best. I've been trying to keep it more photography topic related rather than going off on all these tangents talking about TV shows and things. But I watch a lot of TV shows, and it's always neat when you see a camera in the TV show, particularly back in the 60s and 70s. They didn't really hide like the branding and everything on it. People would just have a camera around their neck, right? And hey, Rob, how's it been? How you doing? I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Archery. Good to see you. And thanks for the exposure to coin a phrase. Well, you're welcome. Hopefully some people sign up for you. I mean, you'll get there. I mean, if you need any help or advice or anything, just let me know. You have my email address. You guys can email me. What's this? Out of topic question. Any opinion? Dry storage for camera and lenses. Dry box cabinet electronically required. Not sure how to keep all my Olympus lenses safe. Oof, I'm the last person you want to ask. But I would think they do have these cabinets they sell that use some kind of dielectric dehumidifier. It's very low wattage, so it's not going to crank up your electric bill. I think that's probably best. Something like that that'll keep the camera dry and out of the light. So you want to avoid light. You want a cool, dry, dark place for your gear, and one of those semi-refrigerated, like dielectric type cabinets they sell. They're a little pricey, but they're not terrible. They cost about the same as a regular refrigerator at the same, that are about the same size. Whoops. And Leon's asking, when do you do editing video again? I'm going to try maybe Tuesday. Like I said, I have to see how I feel tomorrow. If I'm feeling pretty good tomorrow, I'll do one on Tuesday. But I don't think I can do 2 streams on the same day anymore because it was just, like I said, it set me back a little bit. And here's some advice from Randy. Stand old lenses with the butt up, aperture ring up to keep them off the aperture. Yes, to keep the oil. So basically, close your aperture down to like f/16 or f/22 and see if, if that's possible. Some of the electronic lenses don't let you stop the aperture down because there's no electricity. But if you can stop the lens down to f/16 or f/22, that'll help keep the oils off the blades. And also keeping in a cool place as best you can keeps the oil off, because then the oil won't seep down due to the heat. Humidity is like 6%. Wow. That's dry considering, it's probably, 80 degrees out there. And if you got a 6% humidity, man, that's dry. Whew. And let's see, this says, got the Mzico 40 to 150. The plastic one and there's a couple of little dust particles in the inside lens. Should I bother, or it won't show up? It won't show up in your images. The only really the time that you need to worry about dust or scratches and things is on the rear element. If you have any kind of smudge or dust on the rear element, clean it. Never open up your lens, though, to try to clean the inside. There's so many lenses in there, especially zoom lenses, you'll never get it back together. So just clean the back element. Make sure, just be very careful of the back element. If you have dust or scratches or fungus on the front element, yeah, it's really hard. It really, you won't see any difference. I mean, a good example is like, look at the size of this thing. This is the size of maybe about 1.5 fingers, but I can put this. That's a terrible example because the camera's going to focus. Terrible example. But yeah, don't worry about it on the front. Usually it's just on the rear element. I mean, there is a point of no return. If you get too much dust or spots or scratches, yeah, you're going to notice it. But a lot of times a small scratch won't make any difference on the front element. On the rear element, you'll see it. Definitely. Okay, Jose, we'll see you later. All right. I think I'm going to call it. There wasn't any other questions. We'll keep it down to about 1.5 hours. So thanks, everybody, for joining me today and taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try and come back on Tuesday with a photo editing stream, but either way, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again soon.